Yo guys, what's going on? You probably clicked on this video thinking, what the heck, this guy's making Gears 5 content. When did that happen? And you've probably seen the title of the video, and you're probably shocked to see that yes, it's true. You can get aim assist on mouse and keyboard on Gears of War 5. It's not clickbait. I'm not trolling. It's actually a thing. Before I get into it, you guys already pretty much know what aim assist is, but thoroughly explained, you've got two versions of aim assist on this game. You've got aim assist auto rotation, which is when the guy moves around and you get this slight bit of tracking, like it sort of gravitates towards their hitbox very, very slightly. You only really get this aim assist when you're moving and he's moving, pretty much, or he's moving and you've got some pressure on one of your right or left stick. You can't get this just by doing this, because it doesn't activate. Even if he moves right now, it's not going to track him. That's because I haven't got any pressure on any of the right or left sticks. You might have known this, you might not have known this, but that's how the first form of aim assist works in Gears 5. The second version of aim assist is slowdown, aim assist slowdown, which I believe the correct term is for it, which is when you move your right stick, whether he's moving or not, or you're moving or not, and you see that it sort of like slows down as I flick over him. Gears of War has always had this type of aim assist. I'm pretty much sure since Gears of War 1, so that's been in the game. The only version that's new is the auto rotation, and I don't know why they thought to put that in the game. I believe they must have saw Fortnite and thought, whoa, that looks cool, we should do that in our game or something. I don't know what they was thinking when they added that form of aim assist, but that's what's going to lead us to the main problem that this video is addressing. So right now, I'm aiming with my mouse, and if you look very slightly, it's hard to see unless you try this yourself, but I'm getting a very small amount of auto rotation, even though I am moving my mouse, and I shouldn't be getting auto rotation right now. As you guys know, one of the methods that I like to use to play Gears sometimes, and sometimes other PC games, is I like to use controller and mouse, which allows me to move in my left hand the controller and the analog stick, which gives me, omnidirectional movement, and in my right hand I have my mouse, which allows me to aim. So I'm sort of getting the best of both worlds, essentially. And that's the first part of how this is working. This is originally how I found this out months ago, and I cannot believe it's still in the game. I wasn't going to make a video about it months ago because I was sick of the game at that point. And I thought, if I come back at some point, I'm sure it'd be patched. I'm sure someone else would have addressed it or made a video about it, but no, it's still in the game. Can't believe it. So let me explain how I'm getting it right now. Is instead of using my right click to aim, which you would have used on mouse and keyboard, I'm hitting LT on my controller, and I think for some reason that's telling the game that, oh wait, I don't think this guy's on a mouse and keyboard. I think he's using a controller. So let's give him that auto rotation, to help him out. And that's how I'm getting it this way. And of course, mouse and keyboard players won't be using a controller really at the same time because they've already got their hands occupied. There's a second way to do this. If I jump over into a software, this is one I use called Reswad. I use this for games that don't support mouse and controller setups, so you can use it to map any button anyway. You can map a button on your keyboard, your controller, your mouse, whatever. And with this software, it allows me to map a button on my mouse. For example, I can map the original aim key, which is right click, and I've mapped it to LT instead. So if I go and apply this, that should apply right there. So now when I right click, even though I am right clicking with my mouse, my game and PC believes that, well, he's pressing LT on his controller, which is essentially the same as using controller and mouse, but now I'm using keyboard and mouse. I'm getting that controller benefit of LT on my mouse instead. So now if I'm moving around my keyboard and I'm aiming, as you can see, I'm still getting auto rotation. It's not weaker, it's not stronger, it's the exact same as I was getting it just now on controller and mouse. I'm getting auto rotation. And it gets worse. It don't just stop there. Like, you're probably thinking, oh, that's not a big deal, oh well, things happen in games. But if I jump over to my controller settings right now, go all the way down to dead zones. I'm sure you guys know what dead zones are. You're in a dead zone is for your right stick, I believe, and that's like the amount of pressure you put on your stick before it starts moving. So 10 is the default, so it's pretty like clunky at that point. You have to put quite a bit of pressure to move your camera. But if I drag that all the way down to 0, I will now get this thing called Stig Drift. So if I slightly touch my right stick, you can see that I'm starting to sway a little bit. I'm not pressing anything on my mouse or my controller. I'm just getting a slight sway. Sometimes, I think for some people it's worse than others. I can get it really bad if I try. So anyway, what this does now, this goes back to what I was explaining earlier about how if you have any kind of input or pressure on either of your sticks on your controller, you get aim assist. So now I don't even need to move. This guy can move around, and I will also get aim assist with my mouse and keyboard. I'm using my mouse and keyboard right now. He's moving around, and I'm actually getting a slight bit of tracking. And obviously this works with every weapon, pistol, Nasher, so on, so on, so on. And as you can see, when I change weapons, you see how it flickers? This is the thing you get when you, if you use controller and mouse. Like the game 1 minute thinks, oh, he's on mouse and keyboard. No, he's on controller. Wait, he's on mouse and keyboard. So the game's getting confused. So that's an indication right there that I've got some kind of a PC function binded to my controller, or controller function binded to, you know, one of my PC inputs. And it don't stop there, by the way. It gets even worse. You thought that was the end of it? No, 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 there's more to this than that. So now, I do believe that on controller, there is a slight bit more bullet magnetism than there is on mouse and keyboard. I know they added some to it, so I'm not trying to get into a massive debate here. I know, obviously, you know what magnetism is, where you're like shooting at someone. If I pulled out my sniper right now and shot here, it'd probably pop him and stuff like that. That's on in the game. That is what it is. I heard it's been in every Gears games. I'm not here to debate that. The problem with this bug, exploit, whatever you want to call it, though, is now I'm using a controller function, whether it's controller and mouse or LT binded to my mouse, whatever you're doing, is I'm not only getting the benefit of aim assist now from this, something that I believe, I can't prove this as 100% facts or not, but I do believe I actually get more bullet magnetism on a mouse now than I should be getting than when I'm not using this bug or exploit. So long story short is, I'm also, not only am I getting aim assist on mouse and keyboard, which is pretty severe, it really will help you track, I'm also getting bullet magnetism, extra bullet magnetism that you wouldn't normally have. I've been trying it a little bit the last day, and I've like been chunking people from further ranges with a Nasher than I normally would. I'm like, whoa, that doesn't usually happen when I play normally. And it gets even worse than that. This is another thing you can add to the list, is as I was explaining earlier, so we've covered that I can get aim assist, auto rotation on mouse and keyboard now. This even attributes a small factor of aim assist slowdown to mouse and keyboard now. So as I was saying earlier, when you graze over someone's head on your controller, you know, it sort of slows down, whether it's body, head, whatever. Now I feel like when I'm doing this, if this guy's moving and I like kind of flick over to this guy, I get this really weird, it's like this stoppage. Something stopping me from grazing past him, which most people on mouse and keyboard would be like, oh, that's a disadvantage, bro. Probably would be in most cases, but for Gears this is quite severe, so I can actually sort of get that feel of controller. Like 9 times out of 10 if I flick, it's on this guy, and someone with really good mouse and keyboard aim could probably do that anyway, don't get it wrong, but it's just a little bit less effort you need to put into the game, because now I've got the game sort of helping me doing it. So along with that, and the auto rotation, everything in it, it's kind of OP, I'm not gonna lie. I know I said earlier some people might find it more severe than others. I do think it's something that needs to be addressed, for sure. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's been people out there that have been using this and not told anyone. You know, there's probably people that have figured this out by now. I'll show you guys a clip in a minute. This isn't a new bug. I figured this out, I think, back in September, November with one of my friends in private matches, and we were testing it. So it's not something that I'm just making a video about now because I've randomly found it. This has been in the game for a long time, and I can't believe it. So there's probably been a lot of people abusing this themselves in some way or another. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I hope for your sakes, as there's a lot of die-hard Gears fans out there that still play this game very often. I don't know how you do it. I really hope for your sakes that it does get fixed, and you know, you can enjoy the game again and get somewhat back to some kind of normal Gears gameplay that we're used to. But until the next one, guys, take it easy. Catch you later. Go to respawn mapping.
Yeah.
Bind it to LT. We'll let the bomb somewhere.
Yeah.
Play it. Alright, turn around and look at me. Hold shift. Move your WASD keys.
Mate.
How OP is that?